Good morning, folks. My name is Jim Colbert, and this morning I want to talk about wood turning and specifically about making bowls, wooden bowls. Now, wood turning is my hobby, and I've been doing it off and on for most of my life. I first started working on a lathe when I was in high school in a shop class at McKinley High School, and over the rest of my life I have off and on, as time and money permitted, I have worked with this. There are many things you can make on a lathe. You can make a baseball bat, you could make a candle holder, or you could make a number of different things. You can also make bowls. You can make pens and pencils. You can make handles for fishing poles. There are all kinds of different things that can be made. And there are both men and women involved in the hobby. And some of them are in it for business. They go to trade shows, craft shows, and they sell their ware. Now, when I started this, I decided that I had two rules. Number one, I don't sell anything. And number two, I don't take orders. I make what I want to make. I give away what I make to whoever. Somebody likes it, you can have it. So that's proved to be pretty successful for me, because if I was trying to sell this for money, then it would be a job. And I worked for 40 years and been retired for about 25 years now, and I'll tell you, the retired is much better. So I want to talk about bowls. So many different kinds of bowls. There are many different ways to make a bowl, and I'm only going to show you one way. I'm going to show you a way that I've done and do a lot of times. Recently, since the big windstorm that we had here a couple of years ago, there's a lot of downed trees, and to wood turners, these are called green lumber because they've never been dried out, or natural lumber because they usually still have the bark on them. So again, just to emphasize, this is just one way to do this. This is what I'm going to show you. So, not surprisingly, a wooden bowl starts with a piece of wood, and this we'll call a log. If you would like to make a round bowl, you need to pick a piece of wood that's about the same diameter as it is in length. Another important thing to consider, or to choose, make a decision on, is when you, I should back up a little bit here and say, after you get the log, you split it into two pieces. Now you're looking at this log, and is this going to be the top of the bowl, or is this going to be the top of the bowl? And it makes a big difference, because whichever is the bottom part of the bowl, first thing you need to do is to establish what's called a tenon. Now I'm going to ask you to imagine that this piece here, which I have already for demonstration purposes done, is one of these pieces. So how do you make that decision? Well, if you want a bowl that has bark around the edges, which is called a natural edge bowl, then you need to put your tenon on this back side. If you want a bowl that does not have bark around the edges, then you put your tenon on the bark side. Why is the tenon important? Well, the tenon's important because that's the way you secure this thing to the lathe and then are able to do your carving. So, a log, split it in half, decide what kind of a bowl you want. You want one with bark or without bark, and that will tell you where the tenon has to go. So, just one other thing, if you pick a bowl, if you pick a piece of wood that is longer than the diameter, then you'll come out with an oblong bowl. That's what this is. And it was a bowl that was turned from the bark side. So, again, let's imagine that this is one of these pieces. And for demonstration, I picked another piece of wood and I've already established this tenon. So we are going to make a bowl that has bark around the edges, and that we call a natural edge bowl. So let's get started. Don't drop that on your toe. Those things are heavy. So I need to clear this material out of here a little bit. So here's the tenon. This is called a 4-jaw chuck. It has 4 jaws and they clamp onto this tenon. So I'm going to prepare to mount this on the 4-jaw chuck. And I have prepared the bottom. So I think it's nice and square, and I think it's gonna hold the piece securely. The one thing you do not want to happen is for this piece to get away, and when you start spinning this at high speed, you do not want it to get away and get off the lathe. So generally what we do is to start off with, we bring the tailstock and the live center up here and we put pressure on there, and that's after a bit we're going to have to slide this back because it'll be in our way, but this is where the roughest turning will be. So we usually start with this for added safety. That way this is being clamped and held back here, it's being pushed in, because when we start turning, this is going to be kind of rough because there are places where there isn't any wood here, and then there's no wood, and then here, so it will tend to be kind of rough. Now there's a couple other, if you think about it, if somebody said, we're going to put a piece of wood on here, we're going to turn it at high speed 4, 5, 6, 700 times a minute, and then I'm going to have you take this tool that's sharp and I'm going to have you stick it in here. You will probably think, isn't that dangerous? And the short answer is, yeah, it is. So that means that we need to take some I have to get this positioned here we need to take proper safety precautions so that we're protected. So I have a smock on here, and I like to zip it up because when these shavings come flying off there, they get under your shirt and down, all through your, and they're irritating, and I don't like that. So to begin with, we're going to put this up here, give us added support, and I have glasses on, and probably the most important part is I'm going to have a face shield, and different times it's possible it will split off here and come flying back, and sometimes it does that. I've had it hit the face shield here. The worst one was a rather large piece came off, hit the face shield, knocked the face shield off my face, knocked the glasses off, but I wasn't hurt. So I'm going to put my face shield on. The other thing that I like to do is I'll wear my glove, and I get a lot of comments about this. Looks kind of tacky, but yeah, it's old. We've turned a lot of bowls with this glove, but I cut the fingers out on purpose so I have a better sense of feel here. So I'm gonna start. So now we're to the point where we're going to start carving the inside of this bowl out. So we'll see how fast we can go here. Generally speaking, faster you go, the smoother the cut. But pieces like this are inherently out of balance, so you have to be careful. So I'm going to carefully start turning this. You can probably guess that this tailstock is beginning to be in my way. I don't have good control of my tool. So I'm going to shut off here, and I'm going to back this off, get it out of the way. And then I'm going to reposition my tool rest, and we'll start carving here. Tool rest wants to move a little bit. Let's shut off and see how we're doing there. So we want to watch how much bark we're leaving here. We don't want to take all the bark off, but that's probably a little more than we need. And this is a piece that has a low spot here, so it's going to have more bark on this side than on this side. So the other thing is that you have to watch how far the tool rest is from where the work's going on. So I'm going to turn this tool rest so I can get in there just a little closer. I'm going to get this thing out of the way a little bit because it's got a sharp end on it. That pokes my elbow. I'll try and stay out of the way here so you can see. So that's that's how we make a bowl. Well, this bowl is not done. More needs to be taken out of there, but I think you get the idea. I'm thinking this will need to go about another half to 3/4 of an inch deep, and correspondingly a little wider here, and so this is just the beginning. It's it needs to be turned deeper, more taken out, and then once you get it down to where these sides here are probably about a 1/2 inch thick. Down here, this part of the bowl, I'd say this is a good inch or 1.5 inches. So you can see there's more material that has to come out of there. Once you get all that done, that's the basic turning. You need to sand this. So we sand the inside, sand the outside, and then it needs to have some finish applied to it. So I brought some bowls with me. This bowl, very similar to that one, has been turned to where the bottom here is about a 1/2 inch thick, and these sides are about a 1/2 inch thick. And then it's been sanded off and some finish applied to it. So same with this one. The difference here is this was the flat side, this was the bark side. Okay? I brought some other bowls with me that I think you'll be able to see the difference there, and I think we're going to conclude with that. I hope we have some time for some questions. If you have questions, I'll be happy to try and answer those. And I just want to point out that Evelyn Colbert is my wife, and she's watching me very closely because in our house, she is upper management, and I'm just kind of one of the worker bees. So she also passes judgment on artistic value of anything that we make here. So anyway, just want to point that out. She does a good job. So thanks a lot, folks. And we're going to shut off here now. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to try and answer those.